Yep.
Hello, welcome everyone. My name is Murtaza. Just before I start, is my voice okay, Manas, or is there some background noise?
Yes, there is some how would I say the loudness, but otherwise it is comprehensible, audible. Uh, Anybody facing any issues with that?
It's a little bit like distorted, I find.
Okay, can you use Murtaza? Can you use some headphones? If you have any headphones,
I, I
put them.
was using my headphones. I stopped using them because of the background noise. Just give me a minute.
Oh, that's so. Just try. Try to speak again.
Yeah, just give me a minute. Just a minute till I connect my headphones back. Yeah, hello. Is my voice better now? Yeah, perfect. Sorry, Dalia, for the trouble. Let's get started. So welcome everyone. Today's session is about design thinking in education for educators. And the burning question is why design thinking matters today. Before I get started, my name is Murtaza. I'm the lead training specialist at ATLAB. We provide innovative cutting edge solutions in science and technology. I'm a LEGO certified teacher trainer and Apple professional learning specialist. And I work with teachers in the Middle East region for STEM and makerspace. I did this course from IDEO uh, for educators. This is a really great course, which is called Hello Design Thinking. Most of my ideas today are inspired by their course. Also, there is um, a free resource and a toolkit for educators, which is called Design Thinking for Educators, again by by IDEO itself. I've just put that back in the chat. That's a great toolkit. It's free to download it and really recommend it for educators there on how you can use design thinking inside your classrooms. Okay. So steps for design thinking. Very simple 4 steps. Gather inspiration, generate ideas, make your ideas tangible, and share a story. So these are the 4 steps which you're going to follow today. Gathering inspiration, generating ideas, making it tangible, and sharing a story. So what is design thinking? It's a process of creative problem solving. Okay. Uh, Please feel free to unmute yourself and ask any questions during the session. Okay. And my first question to you participants here is what do you think is design thinking? You must have heard the term design thinking, or you must use it. I know there are some people who are already pursuing PhD in design. What's your concept of design thinking, especially for education? If anyone wants to go ahead, unmute yourself. Design thinking for education. Mark?
Um, my name is Corinne. It's like designing the journey of the student.
Okay, design the journey of the students. Anyone? Iteration? Shali says iteration. As educators, I've seen a lot of teachers, especially in STEM, use the engineering design cycle. Okay, where they brainstorm, they make a prototype, and then they test out the idea, and then it's a cycle which they follow. How is the engineering design process different from design thinking?
It's more human centered. It's about focusing on a problem and finding a human centered solution for it.
Yes, these are the perfect words, Stuart, you mentioned, finding the human-centered solution to it. Now, what the design engineering process lacked was the human-centered need. Okay, designing for humans, designing for the needs of the humans. Okay, and one popular example is Netflix. Netflix started in the year 1997, where they started giving away DVDs for movies. That was a business model they had initially. And what happened is that cable TVs then started providing uh, on-demand movies, and people stopped using Netflix because Netflix would ship those DVDs in a week or two time. So then they updated the models by making a platform to creating their own original content, to a time where today they have updated it much better with an artificial intelligence which recommends which movies you would like based on what you watch. And you could see how popular and how successful Netflix has become, but they have continuously updated their business model based on the needs of the customer. And that's what design thinking really matters. And there are multiple examples of design thinking, from Airbnb to different companies using design thinking. Procter and Gamble using it in their own way, in their own process. Again, it's still the four simple steps of gathering inspiration, brainstorming ideas, making it tangible, and then sharing a story. Okay. So we will try to cover these four steps. Okay, design thinking in education will differ based on your requirements. So right now the burning topic is distance education, online education, and coming August or September, depending on the country, how a hybrid model would work. Like. So that's something which as educators we all need to think on, is it only the requirement of teaching and completing the curriculum, or making this use of a hybrid model a much better and a viable solution. Mm, Trust me, no one was prepared for a full online platform, and when it hit, there were some teachers who excelled at it, and some teachers are struggling to cope up with the online demand of education. But the idea is to learn from this for the well-being of the teachers as well as students, and how can we make this much viable option. There are some schools in the UAE where I've seen teachers have used this option to deliver content online on demand, while using the sessions, be it in school sessions or face-to-face sessions with the students, as a more critical thinking and brainstorming sessions. So that's a method which a lot of teachers are adopting. And if that's a design problem you're facing with, maybe today's session will help you figuring it out how you can make it better. Before I start into the process of design thinking, I need a few promises. I want you to just relax. I know for some of you it's in the morning. Just relax and give yourself the permission to think differently. There's no pressure. All of us over here are strangers, so don't put pressure about yourself on performing or getting the best answers out. Also, in each step, just think about the why. Why? It doesn't matter whether it's right or wrong. Just think about why this and what is happening. Okay. Let's start with the first process, which is gathering inspiration. Now, I have three problems which you'll see on the next slide. I want you to pick up one problem each, or if Liz can just divide them into three groups, three breakout rooms, depending on your room number. So if you have breakout room number 1, you choose problem number 1. If you have room number 2, choose problem 2, and breakout problem number 3, choose the third one. Now, I will go through all the problems, and then maybe we can start the breakout rooms. Okay. So the first problem. Sorry.
There is a question on the chat box. You might want to take it up. Rico says, why is it called design thinking, which is a bit open-ended, and not just call it human-centric thinking? Do you want to take that?
Yes, sure. So that's an interesting question, and I may not have the right answer, but a lot of IDEO started popularizing design thinking as a term rather than human-centered design, where they put yes, IDEO came much later into the frame of design thinking, but they were the one who started popularizing design thinking. And human-centered design is in the definition of what they started calling design thinking. It's, I mean, design thinking was unintentionally there right from much before. It was just a name which was given, and yes, Mark corrects me here uh, by having also D.School, Stanford D.School, were also the ones who started using the term design thinking. But they still mean the same about human-centric design as well as design thinking. It still means the same. Yeah, IDEO did commercialize it and popularize it, I would say.
Maybe we
Inbound. He has written a book called Change by Design, amazing book where he narrates his experiences of design thinking and how IDEO used the design thinking. One great example was when they were started working with Google, uh, where they had to solve the problem of water, drinking water in Africa. So rather than using the technology which Google has, they looked at how they could provide the needs of the African continent with drinking water. So they partnered with a cycle company, and while they were transporting the water, the pedaling energy of the cycling itself would filter the water out for making it suitable for drinking. Yeah, we may change that. I mean, it really does not matter on what name you give it for design thinking. All it matters is how you implement it, and that's the key. It's easy to say I'm doing design thinking, or I'm applying design thinking, but how well you can apply that mastery takes a lot of time. And maybe today's session could just be 1% taster on what design thinking is, and me not being expert in the field of design thinking, there is a lot which we could do. Let's move back to our topic. So as I mentioned, we have three problems which we may look at, and the first one, which is very relevant to the current one, is how might we deepen local connections while keeping social distance. Okay, so I would advise you, if you have a phone next to you, just take a screenshot or from your laptop or your phone for this picture. Just keep this picture with you. Okay. The second problem is how might we make meetings something more enjoyable, okay, something everyone looks forward to. Okay. And just take a screenshot of this picture here. It talks about the weekly manager agenda for a meeting, and someone has scribbled on it. And the third problem is about how might we may help people to stick to their personal goals. And the picture for that one is this. So here there's someone who's, there's a kettle and some sticky notes here. Okay, so now I would request Liz to break you out in 3 different breakout rooms, and I want you to look at your picture, your group number and your picture, and ask these 3 questions, and maybe a couple of you can have a quick discussion. What is one thing which you observe? Why might that be happening? And what inspires you to bring about a solution for that picture? Okay, let's not go into the details of why that must be what led to that happening. Just simple, what is the observation, one observation from you, why that must be happening, and how that inspires you for a solution. So Liz, are we ready to do the breakout rooms? We'll do it for 4 minutes.
Would it make more sense to divide into 4 rooms, which will we'll have 9 or 10 participants in each, or do you want to stick to 3?
And so the fourth group also does the fourth group chooses their problem, maybe problem number 1, 2, or 3.
I just think it would make a little bit easier.
Yeah, that should be fine.
Okay, so everyone will be magically exported to your breakout room, or you can click on, you should have a pop-up right now. You can join as you're assigned. If you guys just joined us, I will put you in a breakout room. We'll be there for the next few minutes. If I can figure out how to do that. Hmm. All right, Murtaza, everyone seems to be back now.
Perfect. So I hope you would have enjoyed your breakout rooms. Then you would have discussed on the three problems. One is about how can you make physical distancing more pleasant? Okay. So how can you increase social distance, even though being socially distanced, how can you still be connected to people? Second one about how can you make team meetings more interesting and fun? And the third was about how can you inspire people to stick to their personal goals. A lot of us make personal goals in the start of the year in January and we forget them in February. So how can we inspire some solutions for this? So the third point is how whatever you would have discussed in your meeting breakout rooms, how does that inspire you to think of a solution? Okay. And this activity was important because what we saw real life pictures from real life people. So this is a calendar from a teacher whose plans have been disrupted because of the COVID-19. The second one was a picture from a person who was finding it difficult to pass time out in a meeting. The third one was about someone who was trying to make sticky notes and remind himself on how can he stick to his personal goals. Now, when you're looking for inspiration and you're looking for to empathize with people, these are quick 6 tips. Look for patterns, look for adaptations, look for body language. I think there was a participant in my room who mentioned now with education, because the kids are not face to face, it's difficult to understand their body language. And sometimes kids or people, they do not tell their problems by words. You have to look into their eyes, you have to look at the expressions to understand what is the pain point and what is the difficulty. I don't see myself telling my boss that I'm not enjoying a meeting. I would never do that. So these are things which you have to find out from the body language. Look for the unexpected. Look look at the details of what's unexpected behavior, and look for what people care about. So observing these people, observing people and the behaviors really help you to find out the solution to the problem. Okay, let's move to the second part, which is the more fun part about generating ideas. Now, there are different ways to do brainstorming, and I picked up one today, which is called mashup. And the best way to have a good idea is have a lot of ideas. We all know about the concept of divergence and then converging into one single solution. So we're going to do that by generating ideas using the concept of mashup. Now, for those who are not aware of how mashup works, so you have two things. For today, I have taken up one is things that give you energy. So think of a thing that gives you energy, okay? And the second is things which you can find in your classroom. Think of a thing which you can find in your classroom, or for now, even what you can find in your surrounding. So one thing which gives you energy and one thing which you find in a classroom, okay? And the way it works is we match this two up. So sunshine and stapler. Now I was in room number 2, which talks about team meetings. So how would I come up with a solution to inspire team meetings to be more fun and engaging with something to do with sunshine and stapler? Okay, so that's there. Now I want each of you to put in the chat box one thing which gives you energy and one thing which you find in your classroom. So use the chat box to type in one thing which gives you energy. Could be anything. Coffee, yeah. So just put them both together. Coffee slash things you can find around you. Okay, so Mark says coffee, music, light, perfect. Coffee and whiteboard, coffee and desk, sorry, light and swing. Wow. Fruit and table. Great. Okay. Now I want you to think of the problem which you were there. So can I just pick up one, Natalie? People and books. Natalie, if you can let me know which room were you in?
We were in room 3, but we landed up talking about problem 2.
Never mind. So since you picked up problem 2, how would you come up with a solution with your source of energy is people and things which is around you is books? How can you come up with a solution for your problem about making meetings more engaging? So think of something like that, and that's the activity for this part. Okay. So give yourself a minute to think of different ways you can come up. Music and scissors for Gianluca. I can't spell your name.
Gianluca.
Gianluca?
Yep.
Which room were you in?
2.
2. Great. So music and scissors with team meetings. Is there someone from team room 3 who would come up? Or room 1? Drawers and cardboard. Chlorophyll and hammer. That's an interesting one. And Shelley, which room were you in?
I think I was in room, I'm not sure, but we went with problem 2.
Oh, so, okay.
Yeah, I think it was the number 3 room, Shelley.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So is everyone picked up energy and things which are around you? Okay. Now, what mashup does it combines unexpected ways to think of a new solution. Now, whatever you have 2 different items which are totally unrelated to the problem you're going to try to solve. Okay. Some of you would have already started thinking of a few solutions. Okay. And sometimes we just have to stretch our imagination to some wild ideas. Okay. Universe and communication device. That's a great one, Abby. So now we move into the third part, which is the most critical part of design thinking. Okay, it's a lot of us gather inspiration, brainstorm, but we miss out this third part, and that's what Fab Lab and Makerspace is all about: making your ideas tangible, making it fun. Doing a quick prototype. It could be with a 3D printer, it could be with a Lego, it could be with anything. But making your ideas tangible is the key part for design thinking. Okay. For today, we're going to use a simple paper and a pen. So if everyone can just grab a piece of paper and a pen. Stop my virtual camera. Okay, so I want everyone to grab a piece of paper and a pen. Okay, and we're going to make our ideas tangible. Okay, so if you have a paper and a pen, did everyone grab a piece of paper and a pen? I'll just open up the gallery view. Okay. Is everyone, can you all give me a thumbs up? Great. Okay. Now, if you have grabbed a paper and a pen, you have one half the battle. Now, a lot of us have an inhibition saying that I'm not a good artist or a designer. It does not matter whether you are an artist or a designer. What we're going to do is simple doodling, sketchnoting, okay, which will just make your ideas come to life. So if you have picked up a pen, you have won the battle with yourself. Okay. Now, the first part I'm going to give you around 1.5 minutes, and I want you to draw a solution to the problem which you thought about. Okay, so if you have thought about say music and scissors, and your problem is about team meetings, what is your solution to that? So pick up a paper and the pen and draw a solution, and your time starts now. 90 seconds. Quick doodle, a quick drawing. Don't feel shy. Thank you, Liz. Yeah, social distancing, personal goal. Social distancing is the first one, team meeting is the second, and personal goal is the third. Thank you, Liz. We take another minute. And sketching is one of the easiest way to make your ideas tangible. There are lots of examples about companies getting formed on paper napkins, the ideas coming on paper napkins. So it's not about, again, it's not about how good or bad you are. It always, for any skill, it just improves with practice. But sketching or sketchnoting is one of the biggest tool in your classroom for design thinking. Whether we are doing STEM or we are doing Makerspace, we always ask students, okay, can you come up with a design, a solution? But they directly grab into the 3D design or the Lego. But if you give them a minute and a half to step back and actually draw a design before they do it, they really do well. Okay. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen for now. Okay. So if you can use your Zoom into gallery view so that you can see everyone. I would like a volunteer who could show up his design drawing. Yeah. So if you just go, let's start with Mark. Okay. So Mark, do you want to explain about your design?
Yes, it's a whiteboard with integrated espresso machine.
So what was your, what was your energy and thing?
My energy was coffee. Being
Okay.
French, coffee means espresso.
Okay.
And then so the teacher can teach his class and have his espresso as regularly as needed.
Perfect. Okay.
Especially in the morning.
Wow, that's pretty good.
Of course, for K-12, no espresso for the students because the class would be unmanageable.
Great. Is there anyone else? So before you start explaining, explain about the problem which you have chosen, the energy and your thing, and then you can start explaining. So Courtney, you would like to go?
I took the scissors. It was the second theme. It was how to make meetings fun. So at the start of the meeting, we play music, and with scissors, we cut the schedules. And so everyone is attributed one item on the schedule.
Wow, that's nice. So when you start making the scissors and start playing some nice, great.
Yes, and so everyone is responsible for 1 point in the meeting.
Wow.
Active.
Get an actionable agenda. That's pretty good. Is there anyone else? So David. Sorry, it's Dahlia there.
Right. So basically, I wrote C with my Xnicom and scissors for some reason. So what about having actually a meeting in the sun on the sea? At the sea, sorry. And cutting the boring parts that we go through the meetings, because I really hate meetings.
Wow, yeah, that's true. Is that a virtual beach, or is that a real life beach you would like to transform them?
A beach, a terrace at the beach, perfect for a meeting.
Perfect. Okay. Kim, do you want to go next?
Hi.
Yeah.
Do you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. It's very simplistic, but we had the problem about sticking to our goals. So I wrote chocolate and what did I wrote? Chocolate and pencil, color pencils. So I imagined what are the goals I have difficulties to achieve in a week, and clearly washing the I don't know how to say that in English, but the ceiling. Anyway, so if I really do it, I can have a piece of chocolate each time. It's really very basic rewards, and then I can write it on with a color pencil on the calendar, so I can see when I achieve it or not.
No, that's a great way to keep yourself motivated, especially if you love chocolates.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'll take in more after the second part of this activity. So you all have done the first part about now making a quick sketch note. Now I want you to take your sketch note and include some people in your sketches. Okay, so try to include some stick figures. Okay, simple stick figures with a face, and try to include some humor in your design. Okay, something to make your design more engaging and enjoyable. It's up to you if you want to redesign it or you want to just change the design to include a few people. So Mark, you can make some teacher and students next to your design. To everyone else, try to include some people, humor, and make it more engaging. So let's see what you guys come up with. I'll give you another 90 seconds. Someone, you cut for a bit. I'm so sorry, Shelly. I just asked people to redesign it with including a few people in their sketches. So try to make your sketches a little more engaging, a little more fun. I think, Stuart, the session is recorded and you may be able to see it later. Liz could answer that. Another 30, 40 seconds. Okay. So when you're on the gallery view, it's great to see people with the head down and trying to sketch their crazy ideas. And trust me, it's much more fun when you do this with your students. They would really come up with some really great fantasies and ideas which you may not have thought about. Sometimes these are very simple ones. So can we have some new volunteers who would like to explain the design? Rafael? Someone who has not spoken before and not shown the design. Abe, yeah, Abe, you can go ahead.
Okay, let's see if you can, I don't know if you can see this very well. So what I drew was really the earth with different people on it and some communication devices. And then there's radiation, you know, from different wavelengths of radiation that we use to communicate, visual and audio and other ones. And then to make it fun, I sort of just drew the sun with a smiley face and the space station with the people on the space station and a little dark side of the moon over here that's not getting any light. And so, yeah, and how that energy of the universe connects us all through how we communicate. And we don't always need an electronic device to do that.
That's pretty good. Thanks. I love the emoji and the smiley faces you could draw. Great. Anyone else would like to go ahead?
I'd like to go.
Yeah, go ahead. Was that
Okay,
Shelly?
so yeah, we had the issue of how to make meetings more interesting. And I was really struck by the scissors and the music. It makes me think of Matisse and drawing with scissors. And I was thinking we could have our music playing and get everybody to cut themselves a mask for the beginning of the meeting. And some of my kids who are afraid of the video might feel much more comfortable showing their faces with a playful way.
All superheroes wear masks. That's
yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you, and great drawings. Getting there some humor and enjoyment in the meetings. Now we always have costume parties. Why don't we have costume meetings? Interesting. Anyone else?
Yeah, I got something. Yeah, so similar to what Shelly just presented, a way to keep people engaged. My two words were smiles and books. You know, there's nothing worse than a Zoom meeting where everybody's kind of like, I'm bored, right? So, and books, it seems to be in every classroom. So I thought that every person could do a reading from a book of theirs that is a favorite of theirs. And to make it fun, they personalize the book and put smiley faces on their books. So introducing my book, which is, you know, George, and then read from it to keep everybody engaged and then keep the smiles going so that we don't fall asleep.
That's pretty interesting. That's a pretty interesting thought. Thank you. Maybe we do have 15 minutes, so one more person.
Hi.
Yeah, Rahul, go ahead.
I'm using a cardboard. I discovered this material recently is shoes box. Yeah. Yes, because we have color and it's brilliant and it's more thin and it's wonderful to create projects. So I create. Let me show.
Yeah, you can see that.
A piece of cardboard that we can create tubes, something like tubes, and we can develop with the kids building blocks, create a lot of projects. Here I have I'm developing a project that we can represent a worker, ancient worker, traditional job in Brazil. So we can use this. I really enjoy this shoes box because of the the style, the color, and it's easy to. We have this condition inside, so we can
easily fold them.
yes. That's my inspiration for today.
Thank you so much, Rafik. Okay, so let's move back to session minutes. Sorry, thanks. Okay. So let's move back to our presentation. Okay, so this was the third part about your design and how can you make it tangible. Now, as Rafal just showed us that making design tangible, just using a simple cardboard would be a great idea to give your design some shape, give your idea some shape, and make it more feasible. Okay, so what sketching helps is that how it just makes your vision. What would it take to make this, and why would someone want to make this? Okay, so some quick tips. Again, as I mentioned, picking up a pen is half the battle. Get some people, make it draw some shapes, with people and objects. Okay, now the last part of today's design thinking taster session is about sharing your idea in a story. Now, a design or an idea just remains a design or an idea if you're not able to share your story, you're not able to sell your story. Okay, so what I want you to do is you have a design, and I can pick on Mark because I remember his whiteboard. So how would you tell a story and convince teachers to have a coffee machine and a whiteboard together? So what would be your pitch and what would be your storyline? So I want you to write down a three-liner story about what it is. Now, before you do that, I want you to write those 3 to 5 lines, which you may use bullet points to write it, but start with something which is personal. Okay, reflect on how that is there, and how maybe it could be a reflection. For example, how whiteboard could was not very feasible, and I always was be feeling tired next to whiteboard where I couldn't put a cup of coffee next to it. So include that personal narrative to the story and end it with a call of action. A call of action is convincing something to buy in your storyline or buy in your product line. So all of you would have designed a product with music and scissors, uh, and there were multiple ideas. Can't remember all of them, but whatever is your story, write down 3 lines for it. Let me give you a minute for writing those 3 lines. Storytelling is one of the most powerful tools in the world. It has moved countries, it has moved communities. So write a 3-line story, make it personal, get a little emotional. Use an anecdote and reflection, and include a call for the action. That's very important. So is there anyone who is ready with their story and would like to share? Someone who has not spoken up before? Christine, Lusa, Siddharth, Natalia, anyone who would like to share their story? We have a couple of minutes before we end today's session. It could be bullet points, just whatever your storyline or whatever design was. No volunteers? Liz, do you want to go and share your story?
Well, I ended up making a sales pitch more than a design story, so I failed in many points. But here's my solution. It's napping and computers were my two inspirations, and the problem I'm solving is meetings. So I wrote, sometimes you need a nap mid-meeting. With this solution, you can do both. Uses a green screen pillow and computer mounting device. Of course, you'll need to keep your eyes open.
Yes.
But yeah, I ended up being more pitchy than storytelling.
Okay. Did you ever sleep during a meeting?
No.
Luckily,
But you can now.
I did that once, and then I heard my name call out, and yeah, I'm there. Unmute yourself. Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah.
I see. Yeah, that makes it more personal, sharing that personal story.
Yes. Is
Got
there
it,
anyone
yeah.
else? Thank you so much, Liz. Is there anyone else who would like to share the story?
Even if I spoke already?
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine, Mark.
Okay, so I wrote my little story. There, I'm often so I'm the guy with the coffee machine in the whiteboard, right?
Yeah.
So I'm often tired during a long class, early in the morning or after lunch. I could really, so second point, I could really use a coffee to pep me up. I have a third point, we lose a lot of time with breaks. So now I can, so next point, now I can make a coffee in class and drink it right there. And since I do a lot of vocational education as well with slightly older students, so during lab, students could have a coffee with me also.
That's pretty nice. And what is the call for action? The last part, the call for action.
Yes, it's having the coffee with the students.
Okay. Oh, that's an initiative. It's a pleasure to have a coffee with your professor. So the one of who does well in your class could.
Yes, and we have it in class. You know, bonding and everything. It's very good, very positive.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Mark. Before we end, we have 4 or 5 minutes. And just the last 2 minutes for the questions. So, is anyone else? I think Happy raise his hand.
Yes.
Yeah.
So do you want me to show my picture again real quick or just tell the story?
Just tell your story.
Okay, yeah. So the energy of the universe connects us all by empowering us to communicate. As we communicate with each other, we accept that connection. And the call to action is tell or communicate your story to help others feel connected.
Thank you. And what's your personal connection to the story? How do you feel connected to the universe?
Well, I know that I feel connected by sort of, hearing other people share their stories and by sharing my story.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Mark. Abby, sorry. Is there anyone else?
Do you want me to share mine?
Oh, yeah, just one more, maybe.
Okay. It's about the meeting. So once upon a time, the weekly meeting was made fun and active. Imagine behind your laptop, you enter the Zoom meeting with the music you like. The schedule which was sent to you one day before is split randomly and you receive an item to manage. You have 1 minute to sketch the item and then you share your sketch with your colleagues with the music and share ideas in relation with their responsibilities and the objective.
Wow. That's pretty nice and well done.
And everybody dance at the end.
Thank you. That's pretty well done, Karina. Yeah, it would be great meeting. But one thing, if you would have noticed in her storyline was she started off with once upon a time where most of the fables start, and then she used the word imagine to take you into a journey about you starting imagining what the next line she was saying. So you started picturizing that in your mind about you drawing a particular sketch and then hearing the music. So she was able to connect her storyline with a nice personal emotional touch, as well as then the last part about call your action by allowing everyone to share their objectives of the meeting. Great work, Corinne. Okay. So let's dancing is important. Yes. Thank you. Great. So just to recap, and we have 2 minutes. We start with inspiration, and that's the key for design thinking and human-centered design, whatever we want to call it, to brainstorming ideas, to making it tangible. Now, making it tangible is again the part which most of us skip. We ask questions, we ask people to inspire, okay, we ask students to do the critical thinking, but we skip the part of making it tangible. It does not require high-end machinery. You can use a paper and a pen. There are these days digital tools like using an Apple Pencil or Jamboard in that case, or just using a simple pen and paper. 3D printers are again great with what people have come up and designed their ideas, and students have done that. But that's, and then the last part is asking the kids to share their story. That involves STEM skills and entrepreneurship skills. So you combine design thinking, which is digital and design fabrication, with STEM, with sharing your story, with language skills, as well as STEM. So that's all why design thinking is very important for us as educators. That it integrates a lot of skills, right from ELA to science to digital fabrication, and could be used in any subject. What would have the Romans done if they would have IoT with them? What would it be like if we can find out earthquakes 2 days in advance? So these are ideas which you can brainstorm with your kids and try to prototype with just the simple tools you have in a classroom. Any questions for me?
One of the things you mentioned, like picking up the pen is half of the challenge. What are some of the ways, a lot of times I see kids stuck and they spend a lot of time fighting the actual activity instead of getting down to it. And I found we were really productive in a very short time. What are some of the ways that you help kids get unstuck or people get unstuck?
So the easiest way, and I will direct it to the students to get unstuck, is asking them to draw simple things. So now it's like a warm up. Now you as a teacher, maybe, okay, can you draw a house? Can you draw that? So once they have picked up and they have done that, that's a great way. The other way is I ask students to refer to Noun Project. Noun Project is a free place where you can get a lot of doodling designs, and they can just look at those designs and then doodle it. If it's about sketching and about building. With digital designing, you
Sorry,
have
can you
Tinker.
put that in the chat? I missed what it was that you had them refer to.
It was the
Sorry.
Noun.
Yeah.
Look at the Noun Project.
Thank you. Perfect.
You're welcome.
Okay, Murtaza, I think we should stop the meeting here only. We can take up all those questions, and all of you who are interested can drop in their emails on the chat and contact later. Anyway, thanks, Murtaza.
Thank you, Liz, for giving me this opportunity. Thank you, everyone, for spending their time, someone in the early morning and some in the late nights. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks, everyone. Please join in for other sessions to follow up. And thanks, Murtaza, again.
Thank you. Bye.
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 Bye. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank
you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much.